This is what a female predator looks like. This is Anna Marie Crocker, age 33 years. She contacted multiple children through Snapchat, which police found evidence of on her phone, including videos doing various acts. She worked at an elementary school and was teaching children in the ages between 9 and 12. She had full access to these kids and had plenty of time when they were alone with her without anyone to keep watch. We are supposed to trust our teachers since we leave our kids with them for a significant amount of time. About her, she began working as a substitute in 2020 and next year became a full-time teacher. Only 4 years later, she got charged with assaults on teenagers in the ages between 9 and 14. According to her defense attorney, she claimed innocence and she contacted multiple children through Snapchat, which police found evidence of on her phone, including videos doing various acts. At school, she was being a teacher like one was supposed to be, and nothing occurred during school hours or on the school property, as is stated. But she still found a way to lure them into her house and gained their trust, and then proceeded to commit these acts of indecency. Of course, before all this could have happened, a lot of grooming was involved into this. And grooming, of course, happens in a very sly way. It is almost under the radar that no one would even know. The child does not notice that something is going on, but slowly but surely they are being introduced into physical contact, and to loosen up the boundaries that they have, and to allow the abuse to happen. It is very possible that this process took a while. Since she was working there for 4 years, she had all the time, and of course was in private with them, alone with them. But the now 13-year-old boy who was the one to report her, well, at least one of her victims, because there were more than one, this woman was completely out of control, with no sense of moral compass. And of course, because she thinks she can get away with it, and probably did for a long time, she now wants more. But this particular boy, 13-year-old, of which the name shall remain anonymous, who was 12 at the time, and he asked the parents if he could come over to the teacher's house for a sleepover. This is really unimaginable, that a teacher would invite a student to a sleepover and parents agree. Well, very simply said, that's all the grooming process. The teacher in this example is very good at convincing everyone of her so-called good intentions, which were not good at all. And luckily, this boy finally had the courage to report her. Grooming is a very important process for predators that parents should be aware of. It can happen to anyone. You see, because we are good people at heart, well, most of us are, we assume that others are too, so we don't automatically assume they are child abusers. These people know this, and they play on our feelings. Make fake friendships for one reason only, and that is to gain your trust, so that you will let your guard down and trust this pervert. So then he came to our house, accepting the invitation with some friends, and while the boy was sleeping on the couch, this excuse for a human being entered the area with no clothes on and woke him up. She removed his pants and then proceeded to commit acts of indecency on him. What makes you think if this woman made up a story in her head that this is exactly what the boy wanted, but was too shy to ask of her? Well, it is absolutely gut-wrenching to talk about, but this story must be shared, so parents are aware of how grooming occurs. Then, of course, this is not what he wanted and tried to push her off him. Of course, Miss Crocker did not respond, and she continued to assault him, again telling herself in her mind that this is exactly what he wants, that this is what he wants. Why? Because if she, in her mind, says that this is wrong, she cannot proceed with the action. And then, of course, with other children, she shared explicit pictures through Snapchat. This, of course, is also part of the grooming process to make the child feel comfortable with these explicit settings and images. It is to numb them to these things that usually in a normal setting would have a significant effect on them. And of course, to give them the idea that this is what they want, because of course, this will provoke feelings of arousement, and then the child associates and then does not know if this is what he wants or this is something that was initiated by someone else, when it is all the adult who is pushing this agenda. Then, on occasion, she thought it was a good idea to send messages that include herself pleasuring using different attributes and sending these kinds of pictures to her students, which are again just a reminder between the ages of 9 and 14. Looking at the evidence, it becomes clear that there were conversations between the students about the abnormal behavior of their teacher, since she told one of the boys that she liked that he was 13. The boy thought that was weird, and because of what he heard, when a friend claimed that he was raped by her, he just ignored her, and lucky for him, he was spared of the rest of her torture. Then, when all of this was finished, she thought it was a good idea to text him and apologize for what happened in the basement when she assaulted him. And of course, she did not text him, so she can tell him that it was all her fault and she was sorry. Now it was to make him feel guilty. That is what the boy said. She made him feel guilty because she cannot admit that all of this is her fault. And it was wrong. Of course, that is exactly what all criminals do, don't they? They just deny everything. In her own words, she said that she was sorry for what happened in the basement and that he couldn't mention it to anyone. Of course not. You must keep your mouth shut. Repercussions will follow. That's what they do. They make them fearful, scared, and then they don't talk to anyone. And of course, as long as this grooming process is still going on and continues to get worse, because these people only get worse in time, then the more fearful they will become until eventually they completely shut down and don't talk to anyone. It can take years before kids can get over this. But of course, that wasn't it. There was yet another alleged incident, this time involving Crocker having an inappropriate relationship with a 14-year-old boy. The two exchanged sexual messages and photos over Snapchat, and she sexually assaulted him in a parking lot back in August. Police later found an inappropriate video of him on her phone, which led again to the accusations and the following charges against her, which she told the investigators that she had also sent to another student at the victim's school. Of course, they gain more confidence that they can get away with it, and then they will do more vile things, which eventually will get them caught, because they think that they can get away with it. When she was charged on November the 1st in Kenosha County Circuit Court with exposing genitals, exposing a child to harmful material, child enticement, and exposing a child to harmful descriptions. 1 month later, accusation followed, which stated she was charged with first-degree child assault, intercourse with a child under the age of 13, possession of and sexual exploitation of a child, filming. Right. So to close off this video, father of one of the victims said she was clearly a predator and was doing this for a very long time, preying on young victims who could be their own child's age. Be aware of your young ones. Grooming is a very serious occurrence which goes completely under the radar.